So I'm just going through the main points raised in an article written by a social worker critiquing the strengths-based model. I really wish I had this social worker. She sounds like a good one, and probably isn't a Tory. I get the sense this one isn't a Tory because she says that dependence isn't a bad thing. That we need ecosystems of support. That doesn't sound like a Tory there. I get the impression she's fairly on the left. Anyway, I'm just carrying on because I going over this article. Critiquing a strengths-based approach. So the fourth one is signposting. The strengths-based approach is not about signposting and providing less support, says the Department of Health and Social Care. In theory, the strengths-based approach should not be about signposting and providing less support. However, because of this climate of austerity and cuts, unfortunately, that is how it's being used. So the strengths-based approach is actually being used to justify making cuts, and that is exactly how it was used in my case. Spurious reasoning. It is not logical. It is absolutely absurd. Because I can wash up the dishes, therefore it is seen as, I can't remember exactly how he put it now. Because I can wash the dishes, maybe with support I can learn how to independently clean, or something along those lines, which is a completely, absolutely balmy, logically fallacious argument. Because of A, therefore B, apart from in this case, B does not follow from A, so it is completely logically fallacious. It's completely separate things. It shows a profound disability illiteracy. It completely does not get executive dysfunction. It doesn't understand the nature of special interests and how my washing up routine is connected to my cooking interest. It does not get monofocus. It does not get how that is the limit of my capacity, and how exhausting and even overwhelming that is, and that I can do that, but that doesn't mean I can do everything else. That is not how disability works. It's absolutely disgusting and, quite frankly, vile, the lack of disability understanding that social worker had. It makes me sick. But he really needs to go back to school. You can tell how angry I am. But, yeah, it's disgusting. I mean, it absolutely is. You know what I mean? When I spoke to the advocate, she actually, even before I had to explain it, she was like, she completely got it. So she's amazing. And I feel really confident she's going to help me. She definitely has disability literacy. I don't know why the social worker doesn't. It's beyond me. Yeah, it's just sick, innit? And yeah, obviously it makes me very angry. And that's why I'm fighting it. Because it's strengths-based, they look at what you can do, and then it's very malicious. They use what you can do against you. And I knew, I had my doubts right from the beginning, before I'd even, I'd heard about the strengths-based approach from some of the groups I go to, and I was like, yeah, it's obviously a code for cuts. Like, come on. I'm not stupid. It's obviously a code for cuts, isn't it? They use your strengths to justify cutting support. It's sick. I mean, what, do you have to be absolutely dependent, like completely dependent, to get any support or something? You know what I mean? I mean, what does that mean? Like, it's just absolutely crazy, So yeah, the things you can do for yourself is used against you. They come out of this whole propaganda about independence and no other section of society gets. They treat you like you're a child. They basically are like social police employed by the government to propagandise a Tory ideology, and it's absolutely disgusting. Anyway, but apparently it shouldn't be about providing less support, but it's being used like that because they're making cuts. The next one, assessment. The strengths-based approach is not being about shifting responsibilities to carers and family. That's what it says in a practice handbook. Again, that is not how it's being used. Or maybe some good social workers are understanding that, but clearly not the one I had. Responsibilities are being shifted to parents. Because my dad can currently do some cleaning for me, it's like, oh, well, everything's working okay, her parent is doing it, she's not in a crisis. We're not going to contingency plan, we're not going to think for the future, we're not going to put in place a transition now where things are going good. Oh no, and maybe in time she can learn these skills, as if 35 years old, do you think Yeah, I'm sorry, mate, but autism can't be cured. Autism can't be cured, can it? I tried to explain that, and he's like, yeah, I understand that autism is lifelong. I do think you can come round to my way of thinking. Your way of thinking? So talk about gaslighting, with a bit of therapy. Like ABA? Dog training? Anyway, yeah. But yeah, it's absolutely crap, but yeah. Anyway, so view person as, so this is another thing this person says. You need to view the person as an expert in their life. Yeah, whatever. But decisions about the future are made in panels about them, without them. Exactly. Yes. Decisions about their future are made in panels about them, without them. That's exactly what's happened to me. And when you ask to speak to the manager, their face is always well hidden. Like in Kafka's Castle, if you haven't read the book, read it, it's great. It's like an absurd comedy, but it's not even funny. When you try and ask to speak to the managers, their face is always well hidden. They don't give you a nice argument about exactly why they're making decisions and involve you in our discussion, like a philosophical discussion where you can have your say. Oh no, they make it behind closed doors and they come with spurious, fallaciously illogical arguments that don't add up, and the whole system is completely crazy. We empower people to have choice and control, but then we prescribe from a limited pot of traditional services. Exactly it. You see, I'm thinking outside of the box. Using direct payments on a professional cleaner, that's flexibility. It saves the council money. In these cost-cutting times, you'd think that actually that would be quite good for them, But no. Yeah, it might save them money, but remember, they want to make cuts. And if I say I need someone to do something for me, that basically means a lifelong need. Because essentially, what they want is to try and force me to learn how to do it on myself, so that over time they can cut. But unfortunately, that is not how my disability works. I'm autistic for life. My disability is going to actually increase with age. That's a fact, because as I get older, I'm going to even have less energy than what I have now. I'm 35 years old, and I still sometimes feel like an old lady, because life takes up so much energy and executive functioning, and you know what I mean? And it's like, yeah, if I find it hard now at 35, can you imagine when I get to into my 60s or something, and I'm going to be getting, increasingly tired with life, because that's what happens the older you get. I'm going to find it even harder. So I'm actually going to need more support, way more support. They just don't get it. But anyway. Yeah, and as she argues, having a cleaner, for example, having a cleaner would allow me to live independently, obviously. And then the handbook talks about how we should always be promoting well-being, which is not necessarily promoting independence. That's what it actually says in the Care Act, which I have actually read, and the social worker, again, hasn't got the memo. He kept going on about the Care Act, like he was an authority on it, but I've actually read it, and that's what it says here. It should always be about promoting well-being, not necessarily promoting independence. It should be person-centred. The intervention is about the individual and their life and circumstances. It should be about enabling people to live lives they want to lead. It should be about helping people find power within themselves, find their own power. It's not about shifting responsibility carers, and it's not about providing less support, but obviously that's how it's being used, at least by some crappy social workers. That the person needs to be expert and in charge of their lives.